Swim check 1, 2. Bike check 1, 2. Run check 1, 2. I think we're ready. Let's try this. Welcome to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast, a podcast where we explore the sport of triathlon from a variety of perspectives to help beginner triathletes on their journey. I am your host, Nashonda Shines. Well, welcome back to another edition of Try Beginner's Luck. As you know, this has been your transition area for the year because, at the top of the year, it was wild in this world. And if we were in a race, it would have felt like a 100-degree day with massive headwinds and a flat tire. That's what it felt like at the beginning of the year. And so I made a determination to say that this would be the transition area where we won't ignore what is happening. We will acknowledge it, adjust our pace, and we're going to keep moving forward. This space is designed to decompress and not distract. We aren't turning a blind eye to reality, but we aren't choosing not to let it drain our battery. We're going to control the controllables. We can't fix the whole world at once, but we can control our effort, our kindness, and our community. And finally, we're going to fuel the fire. I'm here to provide you with really good stories so that you can cross your personal finish lines. And for some of you, start. Others continue regardless of what is happening on the sidelines. We're going to recognize the struggle, but refuse to contribute to the noise. And we're going to focus on the miles ahead. With that said, y'all, we're kicking off my birth month. Hey, it's July. Hey. Okay. I'm so excited. I have not really been excited to celebrate my birthday in a long time. But this year, something is different, and I feel really good about where I am and overcoming the waves of grief because that's a real thing. And finally, I'm like, yeah, I'm kicking off my birthday month with a bang, or as Jake will say, shebang. Okay. Focus, Mashonda. So, because it's my birthday, I have a little something I want to do and share some joy with you. So, Try Beginner's Luck, we are giving away a free entry in the upcoming Alpha Winds Big Apple Triathlon in New York on October 10th. Yes, last week we had Tommy on, and I didn't want to announce it then, but we wanted to hold it because we want to really make this, my hope is to make this sport a little more accessible. And I know the race is a little pricey, so we wanted to give away one entry. But not just that. For anyone who wants to participate, there's also something for you. You might have been thinking or seeing the ads, I want to try and I want to do this triathlon. Well, this is your sign. From now, July 1, until my birthday, July 19th, you can use the code TryBeginnerPod26 for 10% off your registration. So happy birthday to me, a little gift to you, because we want you to always try. So today is a special episode because it's the final episode of season 6A, which means at the end of this episode, it'll be 21 episodes, 21 conversations, and 21 reminders that triathlon is just not about swim, bike, and run, but it's about resilience, it's about community, and it's about becoming someone you didn't know you could become. I feel like I've grown so much this season alone, and I'm grateful that you've been here along with me on this ride. When we return at the end of September or October, it depends on how long I want to take my break for, Try Beginner's Luck will be stepping into something really special. Y'all, 5 years. So 5 years of telling stories, sharing with others, celebrating courage, and making this sport feel a little bit more welcoming, one conversation at a time. And I am so excited. So thank you for supporting. Keep on supporting. Share it with your friends and follow wherever you listen, as well as on social media. We are on every major platform, so you can listen, you can follow, and you can comment to help us continue to grow. So I don't know about you, but I think we're ready. So let's try this. Today's guest is someone who's never been particularly interested in staying in just one lane. He is a United States Naval Academy graduate, a former naval officer, a Navy Commendation Medal recipient, an entrepreneur, a husband, a father, a Boys and Girls Club alum and board member, a Kona finisher, and let's clock this, he is now a Guinness World Record holder. You probably know who I'm talking about, but let's just keep digging into this. But what I love about his story is not just his resume, it's its pattern. He finds his way into a room where he doesn't yet know anything. He then does the work, he learns, he serves, and he keeps moving forward. As a kid, the Boys and Girls Club helped shape his work ethic, his competitive spirit, and his heart for service. At the Naval Academy, he became an all-American heavyweight boxer. 1-2 punch. Now he gets to try. In business school, he joined the hockey team before he really knew how to even ice skate, and then eventually became the captain and starting goalie. And now in triathlon, he has taken that same jump in and figure it out spirit across every distance of sport. He's completed a dozen Ironman distance races, Ironman 70.3 races. He's raced in Kona. And most recently, this year, he set a Guinness World Record for the most long-distance triathlons completed in 1 year. But if you've known him on the course, you know that record is only part of the story. He is the athlete who will help you if you are ever in need of something. He is the one who will encourage you, show you what he knows, and keep showing up for you in this sport at literally all cost. He loves triathlon, but even more than that, he loves the people in it. And yes, he is also a man who shows up racing in the run portion with a kilt. And if you've seen this little figurine around your social media screen and pictures, known as King Caesar, if King Caesar isn't in the picture, we don't even know if the race really happened, okay? And at the end of every race, if there's a Dairy Queen nearby, you better watch out because a parfait will be had. He is a proud member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, Incorporated. He's a man of honor, a man of tradition, a man who is willing to always try, no matter what the outcome may be. So today, we're going to talk about the beginning again, chasing these really big goals, serving others while suffering well, and what happens when a person refuses to let fear, size, age, expectations, or experience level decide what is possible. I know you're ready for me to get to it. I'm getting there. It is my honor and it is a pleasure to welcome in his 20th year of racing, the Guinness World Record holder, Mr. Tom Scheer, Mr. Go Big or Go Home, to the Try Beginner's Luck podcast. Tom, welcome to the podcast.
What an introduction. My goodness. You have a voice for podcasts. It's amazing.
Well, thank you.
You should introduce me wherever I go. I would be so happy.
I am available for hire. And the way you've been racing, you can hire me. So let's make that happen.
Right.
Whoa. Okay. So I've known you for a while. Yes, and fun fact and fun story. I was doing a race in another country. And it was a struggle bus of a race. They had run out of water on the course. So the back of the packer people, people like me in the back of the pack, we were out of water. And all I had was a concentrate. And if you can imagine 100+ degree weather, humidity, concentrate, by the time I got to the run, I was a little sick. But Tom found me and was like, I'm going to show you how to get this out of your stomach. And I was like, oh, what? What are you talking about? I don't know how to do this. And it was the effortlessness and the willingness that you walked with me. You was like, no, you're going to get this. You're going to do it. And I ended up, so for those of you who are, anything can happen on a race day, right? And so if you're having GI issues, but he taught me how to make myself throw up. I had never done that before. And I was a little nervous because I'm like, stick my finger in my mouth. What are you talking about? But I would never forget that. I wouldn't have gotten this far. I was already dehydrated, and I think I made it to like the 18th mile, and I was like, you know what? I'm in a foreign country. I'm gonna call my own day. But what it taught me is that no matter where you are, there's always someone who's willing to help you. And your selflessness, and even encouraging me when I had my first, I will call it DNF in the standard where I didn't even finish the distance. You encouraged me and was like, what? I've DNF'd X amount of times. I just still get out there. And I was like, are you serious? But I was still new. And so my first time I did Ironman Maryland, I finished in 17:17, and I went into like this depression. And then this was my second time going after an iron distance, and the conditions, I just didn't have it as a bigger athlete. And seeing you out there, you encouraged me. I mean, I still was a little depressed for a while, but I always held true to what you told me. And so this is my time to give you some flowers, because you are now a Guinness World Record holder. You done done all the things. Thank you.
Thank you. That race that you're talking about, that location, is actually my favorite place to go race, and it has kicked my butt 3.9 times. And for this Guinness chase, I actually finally had a good race in it's Cozumel. So I finally had a good race in Cozumel with the help of Ariel Aponte yelling at me during the last 3 miles. But that was the first time I did that race. I felt strong on the swim, strong on the bike, which is what usually gets me. And I felt solid on the run, that there was no stopping me. Even though I had finished it before, I had a lot of self-doubt in the times I had finished it before. But yeah, that race is tough, man. And you gutted it out. I was proud of you. You really did great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
But this is about you. Listen, let's just hit the high note. Let's start at the high.
Okay.
Because Guinness World Record, you've gone through so many highs and lows trying to obtain this record.
It's been tough. It took several attempts to even get out of the gate properly. In 2023, I started. So the Guinness World Record, to lay it out, is the most half Ironmans or 113 kilometer triathlons in 1 year. So 365 days. That's the record. The record was 24, set by a Marine named Michael Mendoza. Shout out to him. And there are two brothers who I don't exactly understand their story, to be honest, but they have said they've done 26 in a year. So I set two goals, one to be official, which Michael was the official, and then to surpass the two brothers also. And so I started in 2023, laid out a whole year, all the travel, registered for a whole bunch of stuff. Went to Jones Beach, and they shortened the swim, so it didn't count. So right out the gate, it wasn't counting. And then I went to Ironman North Carolina, 70.3 Carolina, and I'm wearing my GoPro at the start and doing everything because I want to document everything, because they talk about all this documentation you need for Guinness. And I rocked the race, finished strong, happy, and crossing the finish line. The referee was like, "Hey, buddy, you're disqualified because you have a GoPro." So that was my second race. I was like, man, alive. I'm 0 for 2. Then we do a couple other races. Then we get to the very first half I did was Miami, man. You run through the zoo, all kinds of fun stuff. And I do the swim, have a great swim, do the bike. And the bike's a little narrow in part of the course, and a car went by me. And it's totally not the car's fault, totally not the car's fault, totally not the car's fault. When he went by me on my left side, I went, ooh, car. Looked up, ooh, pothole. Flipped over and destroyed my knee. I've posted about it, but ACL, MCL, all the things tore up in my knee, and had to have PRP injections and all kinds of stuff. And it took quite a while to rehab my knee. And so all those races I had planned in early 2024 kind of all went away. And I started again. I swam in Puerto Rico. I said, okay, I think I can get back at it. But my body just wasn't right. And then I met the love of my life. And we started dating. And she was actually with me at Miami, man. That was one of our first trips out of town. And I drove. And she was a trooper and drove us back from Miami, Florida to Maryland. I couldn't even move my leg because it was trashed. I couldn't drive or anything, and she was a trooper, man. Shout out to the now wife, then girlfriend, for getting me home. But we went through 2024, got engaged, started planning a wedding. I kept trying to race. Things just weren't working out. And so I tried in 2024, but it just really didn't happen. And so we got married June 15th, 2025. And I said, okay, after the honeymoon, after the wedding, I am starting up again. And so the weekend after our honeymoon, I started racing. So late June of 2025. And I've been racing pretty much every weekend since then. If there's a race that weekend somewhere in the world, I've gone to it. Muscat, Oman, places in Mexico, Panama, the country, Panama, the city, you name it. We've been everywhere chasing this. So it's taken 50. I got to do a real count, 50 something races to actually just get to the 27 I needed to pass Michael Mendoza and the brothers that did it. So Michael was 24, the brothers were 26. I actually did 2 races in one weekend. I did Patriot. And again, you need the tri community to help you with stuff like this. I did Patriot Half on Saturday. Jaja, superstar, drove me from Patriot Half to Cambridge, Maryland, where I went to sleep, woke up the next day and did Eagle Man to get to 27. So to set a new record. And we just got through with, you just interviewed Tommy and Alpha Wind, give them a shout out. Just did the race with them, Hudson Valley, to make it 28. So we're continuing to take the record up, and we'll be in London in about 5 days to do the Holcomb Half at some beautiful estate 2 hours northeast of London to get another one down, because that's the best race for me to do on the planet. So I'm going to do that one. So here we are.
50 races, Tom, in the last year to even get, well, including this past weekend, 28.
Yeah, if you see me glancing down, I actually have a little spreadsheet to helps me count, so I don't lose count of stuff. Yeah, 40. So I have 47 entries here on the spreadsheet, and it'll be up to 53 on the spreadsheet. There's been some DNFs. Some of them don't count, and it stinks. Like I went to Little Elm, there was no swim, so it didn't count. But I finished the race. I went to Ironman, Texas, had a great day. Got to mile 22 of a full Ironman. So did 136 miles, and I couldn't go anymore. My body just shut down. And it's when you're racing every weekend, you have no recovery. And so although I did 136 miles, that doesn't count for the record either. So it's been a lot of races like that. Arizona, same thing. I did most of Ironman Arizona, and that doesn't count for the record because I didn't finish. And then 6 days later, I registered and then went to Cozumel and knocked out Cozumel 6 days later. I think I did like 16:55 or something, but we knocked it out and it counted. So it's been a up and down. There's been, and we could talk about it all in detail, but bikes have broken. I've broken my shoulder, my knee, you name it. I have done myself in pretty good chasing this record.
So for clarity and for people who, like me, who may not know, when you're saying a year, your year officially started
if you go to the Guinness website right now, look up Thomas Scheer, Guinness World Record. I started May 31st and ended May 30th. I should have brought the Guinness plaque. We'll have to grab it later in the podcast, and I'll hold the Guinness plaque up because I actually do have it in hand. But it's May 31st to May 30th of 25 to 26. So I broke the record. That's the record. I am doing a second window from August 2nd, 2025 to August 1st, 2026. So that'll be the second window. So all those races from basically June, July of 2025 will drop off, and then I'll add some new races at the end to take the record up a little bit.
And that's what I didn't understand. I didn't understand the second part. I was like, I don't understand what this, because you're like, I'm still going, I'm still counting. And I was like.
So basically I started over August 2nd. I sort of did two records at the same time, if you will, 2 windows at the same time. They overlap a little bit. Because why not? And all this because I was reading an article. Well, to rewind a little bit, when I turned 50, I said, I'm going to do 50 races for my 50th birthday.
I remember that.
So I did, 5Ks, 10Ks, triathlons, all kinds of fun stuff that I wanted to do. And I knocked out 50, and that was 2022. And somewhere in 2022, I read an article that said the Guinness World Record for most official races in a year is 24. And I said, well, I can beat that. And I did not know how hard it was going to be, that it was going to take me 2-3 attempts and several years, but knocked it out. The hard we do immediately, the impossible takes a little longer. So it just took a little longer.
It's truly a virtue. What kept you sane with the disappointments as you were conquering this goal?
Um, I would say I'm not new to disappointments, DNFs, in sport, in life, and all that. And so having DNF'd, well, I finished. I consider my Ironman record like, I know I've done I think 34 fulls and 50 halves, so it's like 17, 10, and 4 or something. I don't have the number in front of me, but I consider if I cross the finish line a tie. So if I cross the finish line 16:58, that's a win. If I DNF, that's a loss. And if I make the distance but not the time, I consider that a tie. So anyway, I had my first tie in 2010. So I'd been doing Ironmans for about 3-4 years. I did Ironman Coeur d'Alene, and I finished in 17 hours, 4 minutes, and a few seconds. And that was the first time I had ever DNF'd a race, and that hurt, man. And I signed up. I used to be able to sign up on site. I registered on site for the following year, and came back and did 16:56:04. And there's a TV interview somewhere out there on YouTube of me, and how happy I was. And that was actually the first 2 races I wore the kilt for, too, memory of my grandmother. But since then, so that's 2010, I've had DNFs here and there across the years, some for bike mechanicals, some because I was just not in shape that year. You pick it. Some, the races were incredibly hard. I did Ironman New York. That was one of the hardest races I ever did. I'm not sure if anyone's walked over the George Washington Bridge, but if you swim 2.4, bike 112, run about 18 miles, and then walk over the George Washington Bridge, boy, oh boy, that's a life-changing experience. You have to climb all the stairs all the way up, go over the bridge, climb all the stairs all the way down, and then run through a park that's full of people who are having picnics and try not to step on little kids. And so as I face some adversity doing these races, I remind myself I'm not stepping over little kids. My feet aren't bleeding. I used to lose the bottoms of my feet because I had to figure out blistering and all kinds of stuff. So I used to lose, like I'd get a circle this big. I had one race where there was blood coming out of my sock on the run. It was really bad. And so over the years, I've learned how to take care of my body. I'm 6'3", 300 pounds. So it's a lot of pressure on your feet. I've learned the right shoes, the right insoles, the right socks, the right this, the right that, and got advice from people to get there. But I've dealt with the adversity just because that's life, man. Like, you're going to fail. I'm an entrepreneur. I failed at a few businesses. I just shuttered a business about a year, man, a few months ago, I guess, January. I was supposed to sell it. I was selling it to a friend. We were negotiating the sale for 7 months. He asked me to keep holding on. And he ended up costing me 6 figures because he didn't buy it at the end of the day. And I had to take a loss on the business. So life just keeps throwing stuff at you. But to go, I don't want to go too mopey with stuff, but I have a scar here and a scar here, and some other scars here. And I always tell people, like, we're not getting shot at. We're not getting stabbed. No one's beating you up. There's no kids chasing you down the street, yelling the N-word at you, telling you to get off their lawn, all that stuff. So it's just triathlon. It's just a bad day or a slow day or whatever, and you still learn something. So I think that's how I get through it. Is life's about perspective, and man, I'm out here having fun by choice. Get through it.
Because at the end of the day, we get to do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, I think I don't really know where to go because you have such an interesting story, and I really feel like
And I'm
we
giving you
should.
meandering answers, and I'll own that too. I'm just sort of thinking, so I'll try to keep them more focused and help you
But this is
open
good
up the
because this
questions
means
a little better.
maybe we end the season because this is the last one before vacation, and we pick up a part two. We start with you at the beginning of next
Okay,
season because there's so much to learn. I think you started racing in 2006. You
sure,
know, 2026. You've learned some things in the past 20 years, and you're not the traditional triathlete,
not at
right?
all.
Like you when you talk about the blisters in your feet and learning what shoes and how to support, I understand that, and I should probably reach out to be like, hey, what are some things to do, like chamois. So you have that wisdom that I think people who don't look like the traditional athlete could learn from and glean
Yeah.
from.
And a lot of that wisdom didn't come from like internally me or whatever. A better way to say it. The first time I did Ironman Cozumel, my feet were a mess, and I was walking. And a dude at the race was like, "Hey man, what shoes do you wear?" This was 2014 or so. I said, "Asics." I was wearing Asics at the time. He said, "Try Hoka." I said, "Yes, sir." I went and got some Hokas, the old orange ones, orange and white and gray. They weren't the most attractive shoes, man. They saved my feet. It was like a different world once I got the right shoes on my feet. Another time, I've been talking about blisters for years, and someone introduced me to Injinji toe socks, and now I wear Injinji toe socks. And I've gone through like the research I did was to go through 7, 8 different of their styles to find the right ones that work for me. My friend Travis, who his wife is amazing. She did a full Ironman pregnant, like 6 something months pregnant. She shout out to her, man. Shayla, she's amazing. But anyway, he used to work for a company and he gave me some foot powder, and I tried a little bit in my shoes and it worked, and so I put more and more and more, and then my feet would get caked and I had to back off on the foot powder. But Travis helped me with the foot powder, so getting my feet fixed was 3 other people helping me with the right shoes, the right socks, and the right foot powder. And then over the years, I have searched and searched and searched for the right insoles, and I've used a bunch and landed on Z liner. I've been using Z liners for this Guinness World Record. I don't get blisters now at all. I used to lose the entire bottom of my foot, and it's no exaggeration. Like the whole bottom of my foot would come off after every race. And now I get a pinky toe blister, whatever the regular blisters everybody gets. I'm just normal now instead of having these horrific feet. So it's all been through just time and people helping me and being open to feedback. If I had not listened to the dude in the van in Cozumel, I probably never would have put Hokas on my feet. Man, that dude changed my life. I probably bought 30 something pair of Hokas since then because of that guy. So Hoka should probably sponsor him, not me.
You've learned some things along the way. You're sharing your wisdom clearly here and giving these brands, hopefully they'll sponsor you moving forward because, in 2026, everybody has an influencer, but not really people who are actually out there grinding and
Yeah.
doing the work. And you're not just posting or,
No.
doing it for likes. You're doing it because you really care.
Yes.
What is in addition to the things that people don't see, what are some of the challenges that you've had to? I want to phrase this in a way. So, doing 47 races that you've registered for and participated in, completing now 28 of them, what would you say has been the single source that you had to overcome?
Being a newlywed and starting this, my one escape clause is that I started doing this before I met my wife. That said, our whole relationship, I've been doing this, and our whole marriage has been me chasing a Guinness record. Literally, the 365 days of the record exactly overlap, with the exception of 2 weeks, our marriage. And so I'm gone every weekend. I'm gone all the time. And you think of the race as being on Saturday, but that means you're leaving on Friday, most likely. You're coming back on Sunday or late Saturday night, most likely. And so I'm gone most weekends. And so when I originally planned this, I didn't realize I'd be like this past weekend. I took the wife and kid to the race with me at Alpha Wind, got us a nice Airstream and s'mores and all that good stuff, and make time to make sure that they feel loved on, and we have good quality time and all that. But that has been the hardest part, is all of this travel. Little things like trying to cut the grass. Like I have to find a window to cut the grass in between packing and unpacking and bike maintenance and managing businesses and this and this, and trying to cook dinner for the family and all that stuff. It is logistically the hardest thing I've ever done. I have a spreadsheet with every flight, every hotel, you name it, to keep track of where I need to be when. I have woken up in a hotel, and looked and said, am I late? Do I have a race this morning? I couldn't remember. And the only reason I knew I didn't have a race that day is because I looked over here and my race stuff was dirty. Like I had gotten so, like, 20 something, 30 something races in. I'm so like fuzzy. And you don't know what hotel you're in. You don't know where you're going. And so it's been one of those crazy things. I used to work for Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and I did a lot of travel for them, and it started to feel like that travel where just things become a blur. All the hotels are a blur, all the airports are a blur, and so that's it. It's the time with family, getting your personal life stuff done, and figuring out where the heck you are in the world. Like I literally, if I wasn't racing in London this weekend, I say London, it's really UK, it's really 2 hours from there, but whatever. I know I sort of in my head got to prepare for that a little bit better. But if it was just a local race, I wouldn't even know where I was racing until Thursday. I'd have to figure it out on Thursday. It is just been a blur.
Shout out to your wife for saying yes and allowing you to do this. Because, she could have pulled the plug at any given moment.
She could.
Right?
That's why I say my ace in the hole is that I started doing this before I started dating her. So I'm good on that one. And I'll just give you an example of what it's like. So I pack for a trip to Disney World. I pack for a race. That's 2 sets of luggage and equipment. And then I pack for a third race. I go to the airport. I fly to Coeur d'Alene. And then do Ironman Coeur d'Alene, come back. I'm sorry, I'm even confused. I flew to Victoria, British Columbia. Did the race. Came back, landed at the airport. Discovered my bike was messed up, drove home at like midnight, got my other bike, drove back to BWI. So I didn't sleep. Then I flew to Disney. I don't really sleep on planes. It's hard for me to do. We spent all day at Disney World. I hadn't slept in 48 hours, and I've been in 3 different cities. We did Disney for a couple more days. It was the kids' 8th grade trip, so wanted to be there, hang out, do it. Once that was over, I flew back to BWI. Sorry, I flew back to Dulles because my car was at the wrong airport because I had switched things around. Took an Uber to get my car, started my car, and drove to a race. And I had already the stuff for the second race in the car. Did the race, went home, slept a little bit, woke up and cut the grass and did all this stuff because I hadn't cut the grass in like 10 days. And I live in an HOA and I don't want to get a fine. And so like, that's just what it is. Like 3 cities, 2 different bikes, 3 sets of luggage. And that's been going on for 11 months.
Logistical nightmare.
Like we did. I'll just give you another one. So I woke up, I packed for 2 different races and a honeymoon. And a first anniversary trip. Drove I don't live too far from Eagleman, about 2 hours. So drove to Eagleman, dropped my stuff off at a house I rented, my bike, registered for the race, all that, got it all there. Then drove to Massachusetts, slept, woke up, did Patriot. Zsa drove back so I could get a little bit of sleep. The night of that race, went to sleep, woke up, did Eagleman, packed up everything, drove home, slept for like 2 hours, had a 6 a.m. flight out of Dulles, which is, you got to be there 2 hours early. It's an hour from my house. I had to be up at 3 a.m. Flew to Cancun, took the wife on a first anniversary trip, went snorkeling that day. I told her I couldn't do, we like to dive. I said, I can snorkel, I can't dive. I don't trust myself. And so we're seeing turtles, doing all that stuff. Went back to the room. Man, I fell asleep on my first anniversary. I got some good sleep. Woke up, took her to a beautiful dinner that night. Woke up, did some more stuff that day, and then flew home. But and then of course, once we got home, I had to pack and get ready for another race. So trying to fit it all in is the without a doubt hardest part. And because I'm so tired of some of these races, I went all the way to Victoria. That the first race I talked about, I did an 8:36. I had a great race, but I just did not have enough speed that day to have that one count. So I did that race, but it doesn't count for Guinness. Even though I did all the travel, paid the money, did the whole race, it doesn't count for Guinness. So yeah, that's the
But
hardest
the
part.
fact that you have the means to do this, that is, you have to have means to do this. Otherwise, it would be very difficult. But go ahead.
No, yeah, I agree. So a couple things. One, I lived to rewind my life a little bit. I was a father at 19. We had 3 kids by the time I was 22 or 3, 24. Forget the math. We got divorced in 2000, and for 15 years, I paid child support. And at the time, child support was about half my take home. So I've learned to live on, I was making 70,000. Child support between the health benefits, the paying their house note, child support, about $2,000 a month. So after taxes and after paying my rent and all that other stuff, wasn't much left. But that's actually how I learned to live on not much. And I'm not saying I lived broke, but I lived pretty simple. And my whole life I've lived pretty simple. My car in the driveway has 330,000 miles on it. My Audi Q7 that I drive to races. I saved for about 20 years and paid cash for a condo because I didn't want a house note. And so I lived debt free. And then once the child support stopped in 2015, I was rich. I had $2,000 extra a month. Right. So I've learned how to live frugally and simply. And we see all these shoes back here. When I just started dating, I actually hired some matchmakers to help me find a good mate because I had no luck in my dating life. I owned like 4 pair of shoes. It's not an exaggeration. I sent the matchmaking duo. I sent them a picture of my 4 pair of shoes. And I'm in a men's group. This is a bunch of dudes from University of Michigan who were like, they're shoe crazy, all this stuff. I was like, fine, I'll buy some shoes. So I went crazy and bought a bunch of shoes. People are like, how many pairs of shoes did you buy? I was like, man, I didn't even spend a month of child support on all them shoes. So I kind of view things in months of child support in a way. And so this whole thing has not cost me that much money because one, it's just the child support money diverted. 2, I saved Hilton points for years to do this. And I'm peeking out on my spreadsheet. I have spent 3,929,722 Hilton points so far on this. And so I haven't paid for any hotel. I paid for like 3 hotels during this whole thing to the tune of, I even have that number too, to the tune of about $6,000 I've spent on hotels. And that includes like an Airbnb for the family that it includes destination races, stuff like that. So yes, it costs money, but I've been very smart about saving Hilton points and planning for it. So it's not something I did on a whim. But yeah.
You're what I call, you know how to try on a budget. You get
Yes.
it. I want to tap into, because I can go for days talking about this Guinness World Record. I'm so fascinated. But you've done so much. The Boys and Girls Club, you mentioned working there, but that's where you got your start.
Yes.
And I have to hit up on Boys and Girls Club because I got my start at a girls club in Augusta, Georgia. So what has that been like for you to carry the lessons you've learned all the way to this Guinness World Record?
When you go to the Guinness World Record website and read Tom Scheer's blah, 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 he attributes his success to Boys and Girls Club. It says it right there on the Guinness website. Everything for me starts and finishes with Boys and Girls Club. When I was 7 years old, I was 6 years old, there's a Boys and Girls Club a block from my house. I was like, Mom, I want to go. 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 And on my 7th birthday, which is the age you could join that club, my mom got my Boys and Girls Club card. And it's life-changing, man. I learned to swim at the Boys and Girls Club. I learned fair play, honesty, and sportsmanship at the Boys and Girls Club. I learned all these amazing things at the Boys and Girls Club. Friends for life there, all that good stuff. I grew up in an all-white neighborhood that did not like me. But the kids, there was a lot of black kids at the Boys and Girls Club, but there was no kids like me at my school. They called me Jungle Bunny, called me all this good stuff. Growing up, third grade teacher, Mrs. Connolly, refused to have a black child in her class. And the school supported it. And so they moved me to a different classroom with Miss Turner in the fourth grade. My mom will tell you that story. Mom would get fired up. But I was always accepted. I always had a place at the Boys and Girls Club. The Boys and Girls Clubs has this saying called Buick, belonging, usefulness, influence, and competence. And I got all that from my Boys and Girls Club. I feel like that's my home. I feel like I can always contribute. I feel like if there's something to be done or a decision to be made, I can influence. And they made me feel very competent in all the things that I do. I was a club member of the year. I was junior staff. I was alumni of the year. And then I worked at national staff. And then once I left national staff, I've been on the board of two different Boys and Girls Clubs, one in Jacksonville, Florida, and now one in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Lancaster, you got to say it right. But Lancaster, Pennsylvania. In fact, I always put Boys and Girls Club first. I did the White Lake Pro-Am, just another half Ironman, on Saturday. And on Friday, Boys and Girls Club had a fundraiser and asked me to speak at it. And so I spoke at that fundraiser and then drove overnight from Pennsylvania to North Carolina to do that race, and slept in the parking lot after the race. But you make time for things that are important. You financially donate to things that are important. You give back to things that are important. And Boys and Girls Club, again, did all that stuff for me. I learned how to be an entrepreneur there from Tom Smart. I learned how to play every game on the planet from guys like Tim Kowalski and Ernie Thomas. So there isn't a part of my life that I don't see Boys and Girls Club manifesting. I love it. It's the greatest place on earth, man. I really do love it. This little tiny building called the Adam H. Sarver Building put out just amazing people, as do all the Boys and Girls Clubs in the world. I'll give you one more because I'm really proud of this. I got hired at Boys and Girls Clubs of America. They needed to find somebody who had marketing experience. I had worked on Kraft Mac and Cheese. Boys and Girls Club experience, spent my whole life there. Military experience. I was a Naval Academy grad. To start this program called Mission Youth Outreach. And they didn't know exactly how it was going to work, but they wanted to serve military kids that live in your local neighborhood at a local Boys and Girls Club. They can't get to a base. They can't get to the base youth center because it's 40 miles away, or there may not even be one. So the Navy Marine Corps said, let's start this program. Here's some money. Help serve our kids. And they hired me to figure out the program. And I started this program for Navy Marine Corps kids. We started serving them. We had a budget. I reduced the cost, so we were serving way more kids than we thought. I got the Air Force to join the program. I got the Coast Guard to join the program. And I got the Army to join the program. And to rewind a little bit, I left this part out. When I was a little kid, I said, man, I'm going to give $1 million to the Boys and Girls Club. I don't know how. 10-year-old me, I'm figured out. And my boss, when the check came in, he's like, hey, Tommy, you fulfilled your wildest dream. Like we talking about. It's like, we just got a check for a few $1 million, man. You raised $1 million for Boys and Girls Club. Wow. At your desk by yourself. I'm getting choked up now because it's one of my favorite memories of all time. So yeah, I've managed to give back to Boys and Girls Club, and we'll keep doing so. And I've written a lot of personal checks. I donated a lot of time. We're going to take all these backpacks that I've been collecting from all these races, fill them with sporting goods and back to school stuff, and send it off to Boys and Girls Club kids. I got literally 70, 80 backpacks in my basement that I'm going to fill and give to Boys and Girls Club once this whole Guinness craziness is over. But I can't thank Boys and Girls Club. I would never have went to the Naval Academy if not for the Boys and Girls Club, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Those youth programs are so important because they definitely can help change the trajectory of the lives of those who engage with those, whether it's Boys and Girls Club, Boy Scouts of America. Like it's important to be a part of something greater than you.
Yes. Because
of the access it gives you to explore and let your mind explore to things that you might not have been accepted. And for the Boys and Girls Club to make you feel accepted, and you've, again, gone on to be at the Naval Academy, the Navy, you've started multiple businesses. You've done boxing, you've done hockey, triathlon. Like, there's really nothing you can't do, but it started when you were 7 years old
Yes.
and being asked to go there. My question now for you is, if you can think back to 2026 time and doing your very first race, what was that like? And how did those experiences that you had that accumulated allowed you to continue on past the first race? Because I think, like, I want to hear your first race story. That was probably like four questions in one,
That's
but
okay.
you probably know what I'm saying. I'm just overwhelmed. I
When,
don't even
in,
know how to deal with this stuff.
in 2006, well, in 2005, I did the hardest race I've ever done in my life. I did the Peachtree Road Race in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a 10K.
That's a hard
I
one.
had not worked out in years. I was dating a woman named Dana. Shout out to Dana. Because she was like, let's sign up for this race. And subtly, she was trying to get me in shape and be supportive. We didn't work out, but I give a lot of shout out to Dana for a few things. But she got me to do that 10K. And I am with this woman I'm dating. I hadn't been dating that long. I'm trying to impress her, running. I could not walk after the day after the race. And I mean that sincerely. I could not get out of bed. I was lifting my legs up with my hands. I was in horrible shape, 340 pounds. Hadn't worked out in forever. And I said, man, I got to get back in shape. This is crazy. And I thought back at the Boys and Girls Club, I had seen Ironman Kona on TV. I said, I'm going to do that one day. That was just, and again, another dream of like 13-year-old me. But I said, I'm going to get back. I'm going to start doing triathlons. And so January 1st of 2006, excuse me, I said, I'm going to swim every day. And I did. I swam every day for 30 days and my body started to feel better. And then after those 30 days, I said, I'm going to ride my bike to the pool, then swim, then ride my bike home. And it was about 6 miles, a little mountain bike. And so I started doing that every day, swimming and biking. And then that third month, I said, I live right near a golf course. I said, I'm going to start running the golf course every night. And it wasn't running in the beginning, but I take my dog, Yoshi, the big dog, love Yoshi. And we would go walking and running every night. So I was swimming, biking, and running every day. And I signed up for Revenge of the Red Hills, or the Red Hills Triathlon in Tallahassee, Florida. That was the first triathlon that I could find. I went and did that. Petrified. Can we curse on your podcast? I was scared shitless. I thought I was going to fucking die on a sprint triathlon, which looking back on it now makes me laugh. And back then, I was scared to death. High school swimmer, swam at the Boys and Girls Club, but I hadn't swam in years and again was out of shape. So we're lining up. I'm hyperventilating. I'm scared to death. Like, oh my God. And they sent us off first, the Clydesdales. And I was just like, fuck. Oh my God. I'm completely panicking, completely hyperventilating as we walk to the swim start. And this is back when everyone did mass start. So there's like 10 of us in the water. And I just start going. I'm like, oh my God. I panic swim all the way to the first buoy. I panic swim to the turn. I panic swim to the I get out. I see nobody. And I'm like, oh my God, these guys are gone. Like, I don't know where they are. Because I didn't know how to navigate. I didn't know how to look around or anything. It's my first triathlon. And somebody yells, hey, idiot, you're in first. Keep running. So, like, I got out of the water first because I completely panic swam. I was like, oh. So I'm going. And a dude passed me going to T1. So I came in second in the swim because I missed the stupid. He got to the 30-yard run ahead of me, but I thought I was going to die. And then I did the bike on my mountain bike. And I see everyone like on their, super bikes, whatever bike they had. I'm like, I don't know if I belong here. So I'm having imposter syndrome the whole bike. And then I get on the run, and at Revenge of the Red Hills, there's kind of a hill that you leave on the run. And again, I'm panicking and I'm walking. I'm like, you're not supposed to walk. You're supposed to run. So I start running, can't breathe, go, and I finish. Man, I was so happy that I finished that thing. But the whole race, I thought I was not going to make it, imposter syndrome, but I got through it. And then I said, okay, I'm going to start signing up for more and more. And I signed up for a bunch more and set a goal of doing a half Ironman by the end of the year. So this was like March or April. And I signed up for the very last half Ironman I could find that year, which is the Miami Man, like in November. So did that whole year and ended up doing great at Miami Man. But yeah, complete imposter syndrome, complete panic. Anytime that I was feeling a little out of shape or a little like, man, I'm kind of losing my mojo for triathlon, I would go back and do Revenge of the Red Hills. I did it several times. I wore my very first T-shirt that I got from Revenge of the Red Hills for the morning of Kona when I finally made it to Kona several years later. I wore that shirt as a tribute to myself and how long I had come. Um, I so yeah, that was the first one. And I went to Dairy Queen. You mentioned Dairy Queen before. I went to Dairy Queen after that race and got a peanut butter parfait, which is what my grandfather would get me when I was a kid. We'd walk to Dairy Queen and get peanut butter parfaits, and so that's always been kind of a celebration food for me. And went to that Dairy Queen, and ironically, I was driving through Tallahassee this year, and I stopped at that same Dairy Queen and got a peanut butter parfait to celebrate my 20th year in triathlon. Back at that same Dairy Queen, and waved. Revenge of the Red Hills is Kathy has shut down the race, but she held on to it for many, many years. She retired. And it's still my favorite race of all races by far.
Man, we got to get Kathy to open it back up for a little
Right?
bit. Did you go to the Pensacola? Is it the Dairy Queen on Pensacola or?
um, I just know how to get there. It's McClay State Park. You go south a little bit, and it's over there.
Oh, it's up there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's
North
off
Tallahassee.
I-10. It's not too far off I-10 near the Hampton
Okay.
Inn and near the
Okay.
Outback Steakhouse. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, very familiar with that. Wow, that's really cool to hear. Not only were you scared, but you went back there to kind of reset
Yes, several
and
times.
get that like, no, I'm okay. Let me go back here to reset. And you wore your shirt
Absolutely,
to Kona.
absolutely.
Man of tradition. Remember I said that at the
I'm
beginning.
I'm a I'm a sentimental dude, man.
Man of tradition. And so Dairy Queen has now become a part of your race. I actually been
Yes.
looking forward. Whenever you post and you see a Dairy Queen, I'm looking for that Dairy Queen.
And
Growing up in the South, Dairy Queen
man,
is big.
listen. After Kona, I took everyone out for Dairy Queen. When I broke the Guinness World Record, I took anyone that was around, take them to Dairy Queen, and I've done that at many, many races. My friends now give me Dairy Queen gift cards. Boys and Girls Club. I told you I spoke for them. They gave me a $50 Boys and Girls Club. I mean, a Dairy Queen gift card to go get Dairy Queen after our races. Like, people know my love. Got to get it with whipped cream. It doesn't come with whipped cream. You got to add whipped cream to it. That's the trick.
So DQ, but you also mentioned another tradition,
Yes.
running with the kilt after your grandmother.
Yes.
So your grandparents had such hold. So tell us a little bit about that. And then we got one more tradition to hit.
Yes. Okay. So growing up, I'm biracial. And I didn't do it on purpose, but I'm wearing a Scotland t-shirt today. My grandmother's from Scotland. And I took my mother, her daughter, to Scotland for New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve is big there. And we went to my grandmother's house where she grew up, went to the beach where my grandmother used to swim when she was little. My grandmother's one of my favorite people growing up. She, I just, without getting into how much I love her, that's my homie, man. And so people have asked me, and we can get into some little bit weird stuff here, but like, why'd you pick black, not white, as an example? Because I have a white mom and a black dad. Like, no one ever gave me a form to pick. I was a kid and people were like, hey, N-word. I'm like, what? I just always identify as black. Like, people never asked me what I was. They chose, and I never decided. I just have always considered myself black with a white mom. And I love my wife is from New Orleans. And so she celebrates New Orleans culture. She celebrates the Saints. And so I celebrate my grandmother and Scottish culture. And I consider myself half Scottish or part Scottish. But I have grown up in the culture. I just went to the World Cup, just watched Scotland show up against Brazil and had a blast at the game. I wore my kilt. It's actually sitting right over there. And so I've always loved Scottish culture, just like the wife loves New Orleans culture, as an example. And so when I started doing full Ironmans, I just wanted to do something different for myself. And so I bought a sport kilt and wore it tribute to my grandmother, and have worn it at every full Ironman run since then. A couple different kilts. Now I got married in a kilt. And I love Scottish culture. So that's where the kilt comes from. It gives me a sense of more than myself, of supporting others. It's been kind of cool too over the years. There's not too many 6'3" black dudes that run around in a kilt. There's one other one I know from Chicago, Demo. But he doesn't do Ironman. So at Ironman, hey, it's the kilt dude. So people have recognized me for years for wearing my kilt, which always kind of tickles me. But yeah, I rep Scotland quite a bit. I rep my Black heritage quite a bit too. I am vice president of the Black Student Association at 2 different colleges, things like that. I've given presentations on Black history, you name it. But I have chosen in my athletic endeavors to represent Scotland in a big way.
The next tradition is Mr. King Caesar.
Yeah.
Can he make an appearance on the podcast?
Man, he's never too far away.
King Caesar.
He's
If you've seen King Caesar, you know that there is a race to be had. Yeah. How did King Caesar become your mascot?
King Caesar's traveled the world with me and without me. People have taken him on trips as well. I mentioned my dog Yoshi, and Yoshi used to run the golf course with me every night. Yoshi traveled with me everywhere. Yoshi was in my life for 16 years. And as a divorced single guy, he was my closest relationship in my life for a very, very long time. That was my man and $100,000. And when he passed away, I was devastated. And I have always looked out for other people, for kids, all this. So this person I knew asked me, hey, what's something you loved as a kid? I was like, Godzilla movies, is King Caesar, this goofy monster that kind of runs around and looks nuts. And so she got me a King Caesar action figure. And instead of traveling with Yoshi, I started traveling with King Caesar everywhere. And he has made some funny videos and been ridiculous. And again, he's been literally around the world more than I have. He's been to Japan. I've never been to Japan because people have borrowed him for trips. But I get a kick out of making videos with him and talking to him while I drive. Only child, so I've been talking to myself my whole life anyway. So it gives me somebody to talk to when I was doing some of these solo trips. He goes on the races with me. Yeah, that's King C, man. He's worldwide. Yeah.
You mentioned at your first race, you were in the Clydesdale division. So you've always been in the Clydesdale division.
Yes.
And so what has that been like for you in this sport of having to race as a bigger bodied athlete that has tendency to be more back of the pack? How have you grown and navigated that space?
I've been delighted to see growth of the triathlon community. When I started racing, there weren't that many women, as an example. And there was a lot of guys, I always say, they're still trying to make their high school basketball team. They still feel like whatever they are. And a woman would pass them on the bike and they would get mad and try to pass her back. And I remember vividly, I was coming out of transition. I'm a wide dude, and it was not that big out of transition. And this dude just forearm shoved me in the back. Get out of the way. And I don't think he liked the slower athlete being out there. And for years, I felt like people have been more receptive of women in the sport, much more receptive. I went to the women's only Kona race and cheered. And I think people have also become much more accepting of larger athletes. In fact, now people stay and cheer. I don't see it anymore where people look like, damn, that dude's doing a triathlon. And it's more like, damn, that dude's doing a triathlon. And it's a mind shift that I've seen amongst the peers. There's still jerks out there, still unpleasant people. And I'll just give you a quick jerk story. I was running Ironman Kona. I came out of transition. I'm adjusting my kilt. I'm adjusting all my stuff. And to exit, you stay to the left. And to go to the finish line, you stay on the right-hand side or the left as you come the other way. And I'm walking, and I see this dude running full speed. And there's a couple people on the correct side, and he's on the wrong side. And so, like, I'm walking, and I kind of stop, and I go like this, and this dude just runs into me full speed. I'm still 6'3", 300. He bounced off, hit the barricade. The barricade fell over. He got wrapped up in the the Zoot banner, and he started telling me, "Yo, bro, it's a finish shoot." And this is, I tell the story to say this: there was a spectator here and two spectators here. They started yelling at him, saying, "Hey, you're on the wrong side. He's leaving transition. You should have been on the other side. You should have got out of his way." They just started going off on him. I don't think that would have happened in 2006. I think in 2006, it would be, "Hey, fat boy, get out of the way." There's real athletes trying to come through. And so that's the shift I've seen in people, right? You still have the jerk that's going to run into me full speed. Maybe he's a newbie. Maybe he didn't know. Maybe the green arrows are gigantic, and he ran out those green arrows when he left. So he's already been there. But I don't know why he expected me to get out of his way. But had I jumped out of his way, I would have gotten the way of someone on the correct side, right? So what I see is people being way more supportive, like those three spectators, God bless them, like the people I see and I think the larger athletes, we sort of have our own large athlete support team where we fist bump each other, wave, head nod, something. The larger athletes, I think, support each other. And when you're towards the end of the race, you give each other a lot of love. You need anything? How you feeling? You good? And there's just tons of support. I've also seen equipment come in bigger sizes. I can get a 3X wetsuit now. That first race I talked about a long time ago, I wore a scuba diving wetsuit because they didn't make wetsuits for big dudes back then. But now they have equipment for us. I just bought I wear lake cycling shoes that come in a 4X wide, like a 4E, because I have these giant platypus feet. And I can get shoes that fit me now. My friend Alexis teases me because I used to cut holes on my shoes where your foot bone is that sits out like this, where you get a bunion. I used to cut a big hole in my shoes so my feet, my feet were too wide for the shoe. Now I can actually get shoes that are wide enough. So that's another big thing that I've seen. It is that they have gear for us. They didn't used to have gear for us. So I think the sport's become real accepting. They figured out Clydesdale used to be 200 pounds, and then it has moved to 225, which is probably better. They used to have 250-pound category back in the day at the Chicago race and other places too. So they've played around with it. They haven't given us qualification spots yet for anything in the Clydesdale category. USAT does it. Ironman doesn't do it. And people are like, it should be age group and not weight. I'm like, well, every other sport is weight category, like wrestling, you name it. Like nothing is age. Age is sort of made up. Weight is sort of more accepted as the standard. I think they should go to weight classes in Ironman for qualification instead of age. And I'm sort of lightheartedly saying that, but I don't think we'll ever get there. But I do think that we've taken a lot of steps to be more accepting and welcoming as a community of athletes of all time. And most minority athletes have experienced this that have been in the sport for more than about 10 years. I would go to an Ironman and I would be the black guy. And then there'd be a race where it'd be like me and an Indian dude. And not like when I did Cozumel the first time, I saw, I want to say like 8 or 9 black women. And I was like, what is happening? I've never seen anything like this in my life. I went to a college, incidentally, Naval Academy. There were 6 black women in my class. There was 1 in the class ahead of us and like 2 the class ahead of them. So to see like a whole bunch of black women at a race in Cozumel, I was like, this is amazing. I've never seen anything like this. And now we have like the Black Triathlete Association, all of this stuff that we support each other. I've gotten this question like, why, and I'll tell it in 2 parts, but why do you think, Tom, that black triathletes need their own group? To rewind, I went to the Naval Academy and one of the officers there was like, Tom, why do all the black midshipmen sit together at dinner? I said, sir, look at that table. That's all white midshipmen. Have you ever asked them why all the white midshipmen sit together? Why all those white midshipmen sit together? I said, this table that you're asking me about actually is all the dudes that were playing recreational basketball and we all came down to have dinner together. We happen to index black, but this is, to me, the basketball dudes. The dudes over there tend to be the football dudes or whatever it is. Like, you're seeing the color, we're really not. In the Black Triathlete Association and groups like that, I don't have to worry about hair, right? But black women and dudes with dreads have different hair needs. They need a different size hair, swim cap. You name it, they have different needs. And so that group really is to say, hey, we have certain needs to help us identify equipment, whatever. We have certain needs, and people find support in that. And so they seek out, man, where can I find the right swim cap for me? This is a black triathlon. I bet they know. And so that's how things like that start. It's not self-segregation. It's support because there's unique needs of that community. Just like there's a vegan group. No one wonders why all the vegans get together. Vegans have to figure out nutrition for them because they have different nutritional needs than to use cis or whatever athletes, right? So, long story, but I've seen the community be more accepting of a lot of that stuff and more accepting that people have different needs. They recently just changed the para category. They've renamed it to be more inclusive name. They used to call the bags at Ironman special needs bags, and now they call them personal needs bags. And I still slip up and say special needs because I'm 20 years into the sport. But I think the sport overall is becoming more welcoming, more understanding that people have different abilities, that people are slower. I'll end with my complaint. I wish Ironman, specifically the company, Scott DeRue, CEO, you were my teacher at business school. I know you personally. How come all the time they run out of extra large t-shirts at races? They just didn't have an extra large t-shirt for me at Coeur d'Alene. How come at many, many, many races, when you finish at 8:30, 8:25, or a full Ironman, when you finish at 16:30, there's no food left. There's no support left. The medical tent's damn near empty. Those people have been out there for 18 hours. If you think about they woke up an hour before the swim, et cetera, they've had a very long day. They might need some water. They might need some support. That's the one big gap I still see is end of race finishers don't have the support that somebody who finishes in 10 hours has. And that is why when you see someone like me, see someone like Machanda say, hey, you need anything? You good? You need help with your bike? Can I help you with anything? Because we know the support hasn't been there for us at the end of a race. And so we are trying to help those others. When we're having a good day and I got a little bit left to give, I'm going to find an athlete who just finished and help them walk their bike. Give them a lift in my pickup truck to their hotel, which I've done. I did that after Victoria. I helped a couple volunteers get back to their hotel when I was leaving. So that's the thing I think where the gap still is. It's the end of the night. Ironman particularly does not support their athletes.
And look at you knowing the CEO, and he was your professor at business school.
He was.
Hit him up and be like, hey, Machanda reached out to you to get you on the podcast to talk about your first finish in North Carolina, being from his home state. So I'm charging you with that.
Yeah.
Tom, I promise you I got more questions. I really do.
Let's have them.
But more questions than time.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, if you're interested, we have to come back and do a part 2.
Certainly.
Because you would have had some more records before. I think I might end and start with you. I think if we can make this happen. I have more questions to ask.
There's another Guinness World Record I'm gonna break too, so we'll talk about that the next time.
Bet, because it'd be. That's what I see. You already where I'm thinking. So we'll start the year with that. But we don't let anyone leave without rapid fire. So I have a few rapid fire questions, and then we're gonna head out so that people will want to come back and want to hear more when we come back in September. Look at the belt. The champion's here.
I'm a former boxer, so I got to make myself a championship belt for everything. This is my Guinness World Record championship belt. I got one for Kona, too. Maybe we'll break that out for the next podcast.
I love it. The champ is here. Okay, these are rapid fire time.
Yes.
All right. Favorite race memory in one word?
A cooling pool at Cozumel. That's not one word, but it's hard to give it.
Worst GI lesson learned?
Son, I always take baby wipes to a race.
Favorite aid station snack?
Potato chips.
Swim, bike, run. Which humbles you most?
The run.
Most underrated triathlon skill?
Transition.
Race morning hype song?
Naughty Girl by Beyonce. It is what it is.
Is that real or you just made it up?
It really. I talked about the interview in Coeur d'Alene. I said it then in 2010. It's still the song.
Okay. One thing beginners should stop apologizing for.
Being a beginner.
That's good. Best advice for a nervous beginner.
Take 15 extra seconds in transition. Make sure your sock's on right. Make sure your shoes on correctly. It'll save you a lot of time out on the bike when you're like, oh my God, everything's on wrong, or I forgot something. 15 extra seconds in transition.
Best kilt race moment.
I saw a dude at Coeur d'Alene with the same kilt on, and we were both very happy.
And not final question, but we were talking about world records. And so when the world record is no longer the newest headline, what do you hope people remember you chased?
Wow. I want to be remembered for helping other people at races. I've stopped and helped people race at races during this Guinness World Record and slowed myself down and almost missed cutoffs, but it was worth it. I've helped people fix their bikes during races and all that. I'd like to be remembered for the guy who helped people out at races before and after.
And our final question.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you pee on the bike or get off and take a proper pee break?
There's been an evolution of that over the years. I will say that.
Okay. We'll leave the minds to figure it out on their own. With that said, wow. Thank you so much for being here. This has been really good.
When are we racing again? I got one for you. When are we racing together again?
You know, we can make that happen. I have a really busy announcing summer, but maybe I'm going to talk to you offline about it.
I'll leave you with this too. You gave away a race entry to Alpha Win. Love Tommy. That's my man. I will give away an entry to an Ultraman to Anvil race.
Right, because we didn't even get to talk about your business, so that's why we have to. That's why we have to come back and start the year, because you have some races coming in the fall. Yes. So yeah, I know I just couldn't get to everything today. But with that said, thank you. Before we close, we have this saying: whenever you try beginners luck, you always win. And y'all know I believe that to my heart. Every start matters. Every comeback matters. Every moment where you choose courage over comfort matters. And this is what this show has always been about. Because we're kicking off my birthday month, I just want to remind you that I want to give something back. And as we just said, Alpha Wins, we are kicking off with the Big Apple Triathlon. So we're giving away entry. You have to go over to our Instagram page and check out for details. But for those who are listening up until July 19th, because this will be on long after, you can use the code TRI, Beginner Pod 26 for 10% off your race entry. So happy birthday to me again. Birthday. A little gift for you. And we believe that there's always a chance for you to try again. So be sure to like, follow, and subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Follow us on Instagram and on YouTube. We're on Substack. Share this episode with a friend. This is good. I've enjoyed listening to it. I know. Anyway, it's been good. Keep showing up for your own beginner story. And until next time, my name is Mashonda Miles, also known as Mashonda Shines, and we're out. Peace. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode. We need your help so we can continue to try at TBL. So for more information on where you can find and subscribe to this podcast, visit www.trybeginnersluck.com. And don't forget, whenever you try beginner's luck, you always win.